Welcome. We are glad you are here, and we are glad you are here in such numbers. This is, we think, a pretty remarkable day in the history of Rockingham Community College and quite frankly, in the history of the city of Eden. We are the first community college in the state of North Carolina and the country to develop a brewing, distillation, and fermentation program. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the program, and I'll give you a few background details and a few other things. And then I'm going to talk about our facility that's in here. On July 19th, the Brewing, Distillation, and Fermentation program was approved by the North Carolina Community College system, and we are now an official program on our curriculum side. So we are very pleased with that. Today we are once again the first community college in the country to open. We are the first community college in the country to open a center dedicated to training technicians who will work in the brewing, and distillation, and fermentation industry. Thank you. And quite frankly, we're thrilled that you are here to help us celebrate that. You know, it took a lot of people to have this come together and a lot of cooperation to make this center come together. First, there was the program development and approval of that program. The idea for the program came from right here in Rockingham County. And it is because we have a large distillery. I think it's the largest distillery in the state of North Carolina, Piedmont Distilling, and the largest brewery in the state of North Carolina, Miller Coors, both of whom have been great partners for us. And so we always felt this was a natural fit, or we have felt this was a natural fit. We tested the program, or tested the waters for this program by offering continuing education classes in brewing, and we have enrolled, I heard this morning, over 200 students. I've been saying 150, but we've had over 200 students who have been through our continuing education program. Our Dean of Continuing Education, Laura Coffey, was instrumental in making that happen. She deserves a huge amount of credit for bringing this program to fruition. Quite frankly, she's one of those rare people that you turn to and say, we'd like to do this, and she just takes off and runs with it. She personally attended brewing festivals and promotional events. You know, she personally attended brewing festivals. Somebody had to do it, right? And she was always so anxious to take on that duty. But she is now the Dean of Technical Education, and this division, this actually will come under her as that new Dean. So we have done some reorganization, and Laura was a natural fit because she was already doing this. So Laura, you don't get out of this, you get to continue to do that. I guess that means you get to go to those brewing festivals. I think you just attended one a week or two ago. The curriculum program was developed with help from both Miller Coors and Piedmont Distilling. They sat on our advisory committee. And in addition, we had help from other brewers in the area. Natty Green helped us, Red Oak Brewing, Foothills Brewing, Starlight Meadery, Appalachian State University's brewing program, and Liberty Steakhouse is here. We're borrowing one of their folks to help us with the instruction of this program. So there's some exciting people that have helped us with this. In North Carolina, when a college presents a program, we have to make it available to everybody. So when we were developing a new program, we had to let the other colleges help us. And we did get help, quite frankly, quite a bit of help from two other colleges, both Blue Ridge Community College and Asheville Buncombe Technical College, but they're over there in the western part of the state. We're going to talk about this part of the state. Each of the three colleges will teach similar curriculum to what we have here. It's all the same program, but we each have our own little piece that we do separately. And all of the people and companies that I mentioned came on board and helped us develop this program. And I'm sort of elaborating on that because, quite frankly, it was a huge undertaking. And the reason that it was such a big undertaking is because whenever you take any program to the State Board of Community Colleges, they wear you out with paperwork. We were very fortunate in being able to have somebody on our staff who was able to take this program and run with it. We hired someone from Forsyth Tech about 2 years ago to come work with us. She has a nursing background, but one of the reasons that we hired her is because as a nurse she developed a NASCAR program at Forsyth Tech. And that's Dr. Jan Overman, and we need to give her a hand because the curriculum program came into being because of what she did. Quite frankly, we figured anybody that was a nurse that could develop a NASCAR program had to be able to do the fermentation program. You know, if you're a student in this program, you can expect a rigorous science background because it is rooted in the sciences. A lot of biology, a lot of chemistry. It's going to be a tough program for people who come through it. In fact, I think it's going to be one of our toughest academically to get through. We start with that chemistry and biology that I told you about. We add in mathematics, and then there's a whole lot of technical stuff that goes with it. Technical training that our graduates will be involved in will include electronics, welding, hydraulics, refrigeration, pneumatics, and a whole host of other things. And they will exit this program as brewing technicians, but along the way they will pick up a lot of knowledge about the brewing process and machine development and installation. So when a person exits this program, not only will they have gotten the science background, but they will have the technical background to literally go in and set up a brewery. They will also be great to have on hand if you happen to own a brewery or want to hire graduates. It will be a wonderful opportunity for our folks to go to work in some of those local places. We're also going to be adding a good dose of business training so that if you do go to work for a small brewery in the area, you could help that brewery be successful. But if you want to start up your own brewery, your own microbrewery, we're going to give you the training, the basic training that you're going to need to be able to be an entrepreneur and get out there and start that. I think it would be great if a year or so from now that along somewhere one of these streets in Eden that we see a brewery set up, a little microbrewery where we can go and legally sample the products that those people are making. The graduates will have the skills they need to help grow the brewing industry. The fastest growing element in the brewing industry right now is the craft brewing industry. We are very fortunate to have Miller Coors in this community because it's the craft brewing division right here. And that's what got us started on all this. And craft distilling is also coming in right behind them. That's also a very fast growing area, and Piedmont Distilling is part of that. Our grads will also be able to earn a credential. It's called the IBD, and I believe it's based in London. Is that correct? It's based in London, so it's an international brewing and distillation credential that will allow them to go anywhere in the world and be certified as a brewing technician. So this is, if you think about it, it's like a journeyman. So we're giving them a credential that's transferable to anywhere that they want to go. Before we got started with this program, there were some people that had to give their approval. And I want to recognize the RCC trustees. If you all would raise your hand, I see you all situated. I'm not going to call you out by name, so don't worry. But a smart president never does anything without his trustees knowing about it. And I made sure that the trustees knew that we were working on this program, because if they heard it in the community before they heard it from me, I was going to be in trouble. And to a person, they said, we think it's a great idea, go with it. So thank you all for your support on that. And a lot of research, as I said, was done, and there were several people in the Rockingham Community College that led this effort. I've already mentioned Dr. Jan Overman, but we had others at the community college that helped us. Keith Elliott is here. Keith, where are you? There he is right there. Keith is the department chair, has been the department chair for electricity and electronics, but it's this great big long title now because now it improves brewing and fermentation and distillation. So I'm not going to call out the full title, but not only does Keith get this as part of his area of concern, but he also helped build a lot of what you see in there. So Keith, thank you for all your work. Mike Frazier, who is a retired Dean of Technical Education, helped us a lot in the initial stages of this program. Dr. Robert Guerin, who is not here tonight, he has some health issues and could not be with us, but he is currently the program coordinator for the program, and he helped us put together a lot of that curriculum. And I know that there were a lot of people at RCC who did a lot of things to get that program up and going, and we're very appreciative of all of those. And if I did mention your name, I apologize, but it takes a whole lot of people to do this, and we'd be here all night long if I had to mention everybody. You know, it's important to have a program, and certainly we now have that program, but without the program we would not have to have this distillation, fermentation, the Center for Brewing Sciences is what we're calling it. So I've been here for about 2.5 years. We've been asking people to look at RCC in a different way. It's why we're called not your typical community college, and we've tried to make sure that people think of us in a different way, differently maybe than they have in the past. Part of this effort includes forming partnerships, quite frankly. And the partnership that grew out of our desire at the college to put this brewing center someplace, we needed to have it off campus. There are some legal issues when you try to brew beer on a college campus, as you might imagine, especially if you're a community college, especially when you have a high school on your campus too. But we approached the city of Eden over a year ago, and I began having conversations with Mike Daughtery, who is the Director of Economic Development for the city of Eden. And he worked through, I worked through Mike with various members of the City Council to present the idea for the Center for Brewing Sciences downtown. And the idea was taken to the City Council, and unanimously they approved it. I want to talk about a couple of people, though. John Grogan, who was mayor of the City of Eden at the time this proposal was presented. Of course, John is no longer with us, but he was an enthusiastic supporter of this program. And I can tell you that every time I saw John, he wanted to know how this program was coming. And if John were with us here tonight, I'm quite sure that he would have been the first person in line as we went in there to sample that. I didn't know him real well, but I knew him well enough to know that. You know, it's the only time I've ever been to a city council meeting where they adjourned after the council meeting and went to have beer and pizza, which I thought was pretty cool. Also, Councilman Jim Burnett. I saw Jim here. There he is, Jim Burnett, and Wayne, and the current interim mayor of, or acting mayor of the city of Eden, Wayne Tuggle. Both of those guys took the time out. Wayne, where are you? Right behind me. I'm going to introduce you. I knew you were here somewhere. They took the time to come to the college and talk to me, and I felt like I was being interviewed because I think they wanted to know exactly what we were proposing. And they took about an hour out of their time to come and talk to me about what this center was going to be and what we were proposing to do. And I said, you know, we don't have the program in place yet, but even if all we do is continuing education, we want to go forward with that. And they helped us get that program through the work. So I'd love to give a hand right now to Mike Daughtery, Jim Burnett, and Wayne Tuggle. Getting the facility that I hope you will take the time to walk through and ask people about questions in shape took a whole lot of people at RCC. The RCC maintenance staff is scattered throughout this area. They have done a huge amount of work getting this facility ready. A couple of people, though. Jay Speetjens is our part-time woodworking instructor, and he heads up our center in Reidsville, the Center for Creative Woodworking, built the bar. That bar is made out of wood that was donated to the college from a donor several years ago, and it's called it's South American bloodwood. It is a very rare wood, and we had that in stock, so we spent our money wisely. We used what we already had on hand. The front of it, I think, is sapelli. I don't see Jay. Good, so he can't correct me. Oh, there he is. Did I get it right? Almost. Close enough, right? For those of you who don't know, that's what it is. For those of you that do, talk to Jay. But he did a masterful job of pulling that together. Quite frankly, we were expecting 4 or 5 people out of this group to come to us and say, would you build me one of those for my man cave? Keith Elliott, whom I've already introduced as a department chair, came down here and did a lot of work. And actually, Keith brought his wife in. Keith, my wife wouldn't put up with that. But I don't think she would come down and do all the work that I saw your wife doing. But Keith, thank you for all your efforts. Steve Woodruff, who was our vice president for administrative services, had a unique position. He was sort of in charge of telling us what was the best beer recipe to use. And that's a very important thing. But he also is our finance person, so he made sure that we had the money and made sure that we channeled it. You know, I tell you that every now and then we get an argument from Steve about where to spend money, but we never got an argument for this facility from him. Dr. Tony Gunn is running around here. I just saw Tony and his wife Emily. Tony has done a huge amount of work, and I think we have stressed Tony out majorly. The Alcohol Beverage Commission has really about done him in this week. But he got all the permits and permissions and did all kinds of work, and the maintenance comes under Tony. So, Tony, thank you for all the work that you've done. It has been huge. And I'll tell you, the event today is coming off as well it is because of one very important person, and that's Gay Clifton. Gay is here running around. I saw her earlier. You can usually hear Gay before you see her. What did I tell you, right? Who saw her, but you heard her. Gay has done a masterful job of pulling a lot of the efforts at Rockingham Community College together so that we could have this event. She arranged for the caterers. She made sure that we had tents. She takes care of the comfort part of this in a way that, quite frankly, I know I would never be able to do. Gay can always think of that detail that makes it work, but boy, if you left it out, it would really mess it up. She also did the display that you see in the window, and got some donations from some of our local merchants to help pull that off. And I also have to mention that the hops that you see in the front yard, our front window there, are a gift from Mark Richardson, County Commissioner, who is growing hops at his house. The hops is not in our beer recipe, but it's just here for decorative purposes. And also Kim Pryor is here with us. Kim is our Public Information Officer, and Kim has done a masterful work. I saw her husband Leonard earlier, and I apologize to Leonard for occupying his wife so much this week and for the last 2 weeks. But Kim, this wouldn't have happened today if it hadn't been for you. Several of us were here at 5:30 this morning entertaining the press, and if you've turned on your television today, we hope you've seen us. But I also want to thank some other people that helped us. The county commissioners are here. If you could raise your hand. We use some of your money to help outfit this place, folks, so thank you. The county has been very, very generous to Rockingham Community College, and in a time when we've had budget cuts from the state, they have stepped us and helped us be not your typical community college. I hope what they feel is the energy that's in the college, that we're trying to do things. Chairman Keith Mabe will be speaking to us in a moment, but we could not have done any of what you see here without help from the county commission. The city of Eden was a huge partner, and the county helped us too, so we always want to make sure that we thank those people who helped us. Another person that that I want to thank before we move on is Miss Jean Harrington. She owns that big white house that's over there, and you all are invited to come see her if you get a chance. She's serving refreshments on her porch, and she has been over here. She's also our landlord through the city of Eden. So, and she told me not long ago, she said, you know, I won't let just anybody come in into that place over there. So she'll be keeping an eye on us. And to be able to bring in a brewing facility, I think was a little bit of a stretch for her, but her faith in the college is being manifested in us behaving ourselves over here. So y'all behave yourselves. I hope that you're going to visit inside this facility today. We are offering samplings of that fine Miller Coors product. We would have given you samples of the fine Rockingham Community College project, or product, that if you see freezers that are back there, they're cooled to just the right temperature for beer, and so you are going to be able to sample Miller Coors, but unfortunately the laws in the state of North Carolina do not allow us to serve you a free sample of something that was not made in another facility. We even tried to sign you all up as students in one of our classes today, and you know, the ABC saw through that really fast. They said, how long are they going to be in the class? And I said, about 20 minutes. And they said, nah, I don't think we're going to go for that. Of course, you know that if you're going to be sampling inside, I think most of you have already been in there, but if you are, you're going to have one of those green armbands, and we are checking that off. I'm now going to turn the lectern over to somebody that was with us from the beginning. He's a person who was sort of in a way my boss, but somebody that I got to know very well when I was a vice president, later as a president. He's a person that I admire greatly. And at the very beginning of this, and he may tell you a little bit of that story, he was the first person that I went to at the North Carolina Community College System office, because I really wanted to stay a president longer than about 6 weeks. And I thought that if I went to Ken and Briggs and said, Ken, is this a good idea or should I just forget it, that he would give me good counsel. And he said, you know, that's a pretty awesome idea. You may want to run with it. And he even went so far, by the time I showed up, he had given me a list of the laws that would need to be changed. And we're in the process of working on those laws, Kenan, I promise you. But it's my pleasure to introduce retired Executive Vice President for the North Carolina Community College System Office, Kenan Briggs. Kenan?
Thank you, Dr. Mike, and good evening. You know, I've been 33 years of public service. I have spoken at dinner meetings, I've spoken at luncheons, I've spoken at breakfasts with legislators and governors and all kinds of folks, but I've never really stood between anybody and beer before, so this is not a comfortable position to be in. I can honestly tell you I've never, in 33 years of public service, been at such a great grand opening as this. I mean, brewing, what do you say, and distillation. Tell you a little bit of a story and weave a couple of thoughts together. So bear with me if you will, in a good Methodist way. I have to have 3 points to make, and I'll make them as succinctly as I can, and we'll move on from there. In his seminal work, A History of the World in 6 Glasses, Tom Standage traces the history of beverages, and their impact upon the world. Standage argues, and I'm going to get these right, that beer, wine, spirits, coffee, tea, and cola, those 6, in each in their own way, help shape the course of human history. One could easily make the case that the commerce surrounding each of these commodities built wealth among and within nations, yielded employment opportunities for millions of people around the world. Now keep those 6 beverages in mind, employment opportunities. Provided markets for the sale of agricultural products, because each of them includes agricultural products, if you will. Generated innovations in manufacturing. I'm sure the plant over here is a modern phenomenon of manufacturing. And incidentally, along the way, put unimaginable smiles on millions of people's faces. Just look around if you don't think that's not true. Just think who's smiling today. Borrowing further from Standage's book, only in the last 10,000 years or so have beverages emerged to challenge water, if you will, in its presence. Those 6 drinks that I named, beer among them, do not occur naturally, but have to be made deliberately. And considered by historians the oldest among those 6 beverages, beer, my personal favorite. The adoption of farming, beginning back in the Far East and the Middle East, was the development of grains. If you think about grains, it was the first agricultural commodity that people in history sort of paid wages with, had commerce with, and those sorts of things. But unlike other foodstuffs at the time, grain could be stored if kept dry. But if you mixed it with some water and let it sit around a couple of days and played with it a little bit, through fermentation, it became beer. And that began to change the real course of history in many ways. So what does that all have to do, that brief history lesson, have to do with today? About 20 months ago, a new, innovative, and ambitious president of RCC, Dr. Mike Helmick, or Dr. Mike as I like to call him, called me one day and said he'd like to come down to Raleighwood to share a really interesting idea that he'd given birth to, and if I had time to spare to talk to him. Somewhere along the way in that conversation, he used the word brewing, and I immediately cleared my calendar and made time for Dr. Mike to come see me. What a great idea, Dr. Mike, what a great idea. It was the first of several conversations that would birth what is here today. You know, fast forward. I was here in this community on October 28th of 2012, which was my 57th birthday, to celebrate the opening of the first industrial education center in the state of North Carolina, which gave birth to the North Carolina Community College System. What a grand day as we relived all the people in this community, faculty, staff, supporters, community supporters, who had the innovative idea and stepped forward to establish an institution dedicated to training people for the jobs that were available in this community at that time, which we all know primarily were textiles. Vision, action, results. The IEC, the president of RCC, if you Google beer making and brewing industry in North Carolina, and my youngest child has this daggone phone now that I can't operate, but she says, Google, tell me so-and-so, and the daggone phone talks to her. I'm still laptoping it, but if you Google beer making and brewing in North Carolina, you find a staggering list of companies and small micros. I heard this morning there are 80 microbreweries in North Carolina, which is phenomenal. And among them is the great Miller Coors Brewing Company, who's been a great community partner here for 35 years in this community. There's also a website, if you go out there and look, called brewingwork.com. And what that does is match up people who are skilled in the art of brewing and distillery with jobs that exist, and there are a bunch of them in this country. Work opportunities. But those companies need skilled workers, and where can they get them? Soon they can get them at RCC, which I think is just phenomenal. I really think that is truly amazing and phenomenal. Because Mike Hellman and his team, with community support, which is the name in the college, community college, with tremendous community support, which is what it takes, have put this program together and brought it forward to you in this great community. You know, my friends, it's becoming cliche to talk about what this state and country have experienced since 2007. With the crash of the markets at that time, economic stimulus, job loss, reinvestment, people who have lost opportunity and are trying to regain their sense of existence. It seems so cliche. But there's one thing, sort of winding down, that I'm absolutely confident and certain about. In this state and in this community, we're not void of good ideas. They just need to be brought to life. We're not void of hard-working people. They just need to be given an opportunity with skills training for jobs. And we're definitely not void of good communities and good community colleges like RCC that have leadership willing to step forward and bring vision to reality. And that's what's happened. So I applaud you, Dr. Mike, community leaders, county commissioners, mayor, members of the board of trustees, and others who have really pitched in to do this. And I'm looking forward to the same kind of activity coming out of this that was birthed in this community 50 years ago with that first industrial education center. And I'm anxious to see where it goes. Beer started 10,000 years ago, if you will, but never has it been more opportunistic than it is today. So I wish you well, congratulations, and this is just a great day. Thanks, Mike, for having me.
Great history lesson. You know, if you go to Germany, they talk about beer as food, and it's a basic ingredient over there. In fact, they have a law that goes all the way back to about 900 that protects what can go into beer. Fortunately, in the United States, we're a little more enlightened and we put more things than just 4 ingredients, and it gets a little more interesting over here. But my German son-in-law would tell you that what we serve over here sometimes is not beer. But remember, he's a German, so and he only thinks there's 4 ingredients. The next person I'm going to introduce, I'm very excited because he is one of the reasons that we're here. He was here at the very beginning when we started talking about this facility down here. And before I go on, though, I want to remind you all that if you got an invitation to this event, someone that I forgot to mention, you received that invitation from a very important person to me. And that's my executive assistant, Kathy Durham. Kathy does a phenomenal job. She helped set a lot of what was up here into motion. So if you all would please give Kathy a round of applause. She's mortified at the moment because she doesn't like to be singled out. But I want to introduce Wayne Tuggle, who is acting mayor of Eden, and he will bring you comments from the city of Eden. So Wayne.
Thank you, Mark. You know, earlier today we had a press conference at 2 o'clock, and I heard the word innovative, creative, going places nobody had ever been before, and I thought, excuse me, going places was never been before, and I thought, well, that is really interesting. Anyway, see if you've ever heard this before. Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. When Dr. Helmick made his presentation to the City Council, afterwards, Jim Burnett and I had the idea, said, let's go talk to this guy and see what's going on. We didn't realize that we were talking to Captain Kirk. Maybe Mr. Spock. We were not really sure which. Anyway, with this Star Trek analogy, this could be Rockingham Community College. This program is more than just the obvious. And I think people that don't know the program, they'll think about the obvious thing, and they might think the negative things and try to put a spin on it. That's not what it's about. It's the first of its kind in the U.S., and this is historical. We've partnered with the Aging, Disability, and Transportation of Rockingham County to explore a model that would provide transportation for those that are elderly and those that have difficulty just getting all over the city. In the last 6 months, the ridership has increased from 300 to nearly 1,400 a month. That was our first partnership. Another partnership was a collaborative effort with Goodwill, CenturyLink, and of course RCC again. It was the opening of the Community Resource Center, and I hope most of you know where that is. It's in the Kingsway Plaza. Its success has changed lives by providing over 400 jobs or job placements and allowing more than 2,700 people to take RCC courses. What a great partnership to have to help the citizens of our community and the county. I mean, that is a wonderful thing. I expect no less with this brewing site downtown. I expect there's so many things that's going to happen with this, even Dr. Helmick can't see the future. I like the idea of Eden being a creative, innovative place where ideas come to fruition. It's like what an all-America city would be. Wouldn't you agree? It's about time we changed our mindset and we talked about creative, innovative things, and we started and stopped lamenting the past and those types of things. Well, this is the beginning of something special. And again, Rockingham Community College has shown how to bring the college to the community. And that's sort of what this is about. I want to thank Dr. Helmick, Mike Doherty. And I think sometimes a lot of people don't know all the work that Mike does behind the scenes for the city. Let's give Mike a big hand, please. And if you're a city council member, could you raise your hand? What a great city council we got here that really do support these types of things. Also, you can't do these things unless you have city workers behind the scenes doing a lot of things. And believe me, they do a lot of work hard, and they're just unsung heroes. If you're a city worker, can you raise your hand? Let's give them a hand. I hope this is just the beginning of a string of partnerships for the best little all-America city in North Carolina. Thank you.
Appreciate the comparison to Captain Kirk, but I'm more of a Jean-Luc Picard kind of guy, and at least I have the hairstyle. Next person who's going to be speaking is someone who has greatly assisted us. I've already talked a little bit about what the county commissioners have done for RCC and continue to do. But County Commissioner Chairman Keith May, would you come up and talk to us, please?
Well, as most politicians, you know, I'm going to be very brief because there's something cold back here we all like to get to here shortly. But I certainly, from the Board of Commissioners, we certainly enjoy working with RCC and the trustees of RCC because they mean so much to the development of Rockingham County. It's not like it was 20 years ago. Our textiles have left us, our tobacco's left us, and we had to start thinking differently. We had to start working differently. We had to start planning differently. We had to start teaching differently. And in the last 6, 8 years, and especially in the last few years with Dr. Helmick and the trustees, yeah, all right, that things have changed, and that skills, specialized skills in manufacturing and woodworking and welding and in nursing, and soon to be the groundbreaking of the trauma center, simulated hospital. You know, these are specialized skills. And it's one thing that Governor McQuarrie talked about after he got elected was the community college being colleges of specialized skills. And that's exactly what it's going to take to bring Rockingham County back to what it was when we all was having a good time and the economic development was strong. It's going to take a change. And Dr. Helmick, the Board of Trustees and so forth, and this just includes the City of Eden and the City Council and Mayor, to include Madison Med and all of them. It takes the entire county to work together as one, and we have turned that corner. It's not like it used to be with, you know, when you remember Leaksville Spray and Draper, and that was always a separate thing. And then you got Leaks, or you got Eden, Reedsville, and Western Rock. Well, we don't think about that anymore like that. We think of it as Rockingham County and what we can do to better Rockingham County, because this is the county we live in. And since Dr. Helmick has come on board, he has thought outside the box. The trustees have worked with him. We've done everything we could to help him change to working methods to teach skills, so our employment base would be a lot stronger to where these manufacturing companies come in. The first thing they look at is, what does your workforce look like? You know, what can I gain from you? Have you got the skilled people that I need to start my operation? If you don't have it, they're going to look somewhere else. And I think with Dr. Helmick and the trustees of Rockingham Community College and so forth, that they've made a change, and people look at Rockingham County a little different now. You may see some additional businesses that look a lot harder at Rockingham County, and some, you know, may look at us and say, hey, that's a county I need to go to because they're going to work with us. And we're going to work with everybody. But I do want to thank Dr. Helmick for everything he's done, the changes that he's done, and the thinking outside the box for the manufacturing and the economic development that group has put on. And I also want to thank the City of Eden and Miller Brewing, especially with Miller Brewing, and you got the distillery on Madison. This site here, the Center for Brewing Sciences, is going to be instrumental in adding good quality employment to those folks, because they need new people. I know that Miller Brewing, the people that went there in '76 and so forth, a lot of those people are retiring. And as these people graduate, it'll give them a place to go. So as everything gets a little colder in here as I talk, I think we need to get to it. And I just want to say I want to thank all of y'all for coming out tonight, but I especially want to thank Dr. Helmick, RCC, the City of Eden, and all the City Council that made this possible, and especially the state of North Carolina. Thank you.
We've got one more speaker, then we're going to slice up a ribbon, then we'll let you back in there. Very quickly, I do want to mention a couple of things before we get too far along. That is that the admissions tent, which is, you can't miss it, it's bright orange, it has the RCC logo on it over here. They're handing out information on this program and other programs. So if you are interested or you would like to take some of this information to someone that you might think would be interested, part of this is a promotional event. We would love to have that information out there in the public because it doesn't do a lot of good sitting on our shelves, quite frankly. I also want to mention that there is great food that's over here. Mom's Kitchen is our catering person for today, and they do an excellent job of catering, and they are available to cater your event if you would like to do that. But we work with Mom's Kitchen a lot. So Ross, thank you all for the work that you do for us. The food is incredible. I sampled just a little bit of it earlier. I'm looking forward to getting more. Right now I want to turn the microphone over to the president of the Chamber of Commerce for Eden, Jean Ann Wood.
If you will allow me to put a bow on it for us today. On behalf of the Eden Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, staff, and members, we welcome the RCC Center for Brewing Sciences to our Old Leaksville Main Street community. We appreciate RCC's investment in Rockingham County citizens of all ages to increase the value of our future. We're especially delighted by this cooperative effort to bring brewing technology with its applications and possibilities to Eden and our neighboring communities. We will be excited to watch business partnerships bloom, and you've heard a lot about that, as we explore additional opportunities that will grow from the energy of this center. So we thank RCC and its partners for bringing a piece of the campus to Eden, and we welcome you in our community. And we're going to cut a ribbon. Okay, we're getting ready. Who wants to say go?
1, 2, 3, cut.